All right, it should be live now. Let's find out. It says it's live. Apparently it starts it automatically, which is weird.
There it goes.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't really have... apparently... here we go. All right, so we are live. That's good. Hello, everyone. Ace here with Asmogan. And we are... Well, we welcome you to Ace Cast to have a look at the latest bits of news with regards to nerd culture and news in general, I guess. Today, though, we've got some amusing things. First of all, let's get into the thing that, well, is already on the thumbnail of this video. The new Star Wars High Republic characters have been introduced. I'll go ahead and give a link here to Asmogan so you can check out the video yourself.
Yay.
But let's actually watch it together, shall we? Nathan X 2000 donates £2. Thank you very much, Nathan X. Alfarius says, oh boy, 2 p.m. But yeah.
Boy.
Let's go ahead and get this started, shall we?
Centuries before the rise of the Empire, prosperity, pioneering, and adventure marked the era of the High Republic. Leox Jossi is the eccentric pilot of a vessel known simply as
so Han
the
Solo
Vessel,
ripoff from
co-piloted
the
by
get-go.
Happy Hollow and navigated by
Ship
Geo,
called the
who
Vessel?
appears to be a rock. Leox is
And
a
a
charming
rock.
rogue from
Yep.
the frontier. When a
Thought
group
I
of
was hoping you
Jedi
were
seek
joking.
transportation
Nope.
to the Outer Rim, Leox and his loyal crew are hired. But disaster strikes as debris from a horrific accident littered across hyperspace threatens to tear the vessel apart. It'll take more than a galaxy-wide disaster to pray Leox is going.
I got nothing. I got genuinely
His
nothing at this
effortless
week.
piloting, Affy's efficient repairs, and Geo's
Is this a
quick
joke?
response,
Like,
the
is
vessel
this
safely.
humor? Like, is this some kind of like spoof
Nope.
video or?
This is legit. This is legit. Here's the official thing from Star Wars, from the Star Wars website, so you can check it out. It is 100% legit. Purest Form of Cancer says, hello, gents. Hello. Alfaria says, it's not just a geode, it's a rock, it's a rohak, or Brother Ole says, Rocky, wait, no. I mean, yeah, so the vessel is called
This
the
is
Vessel.
bullshit.
The vessel's
Oh my god! Fucking hell, dude. There's. I used to think there was only so far. Like I used to think there was a level, at least a level, like a basic line where any creative individual with any kind of major backing or funding wouldn't fall to. And nobody bothered to sit in the fucking writing room with these dipshits and go, hey, you know that character you just introduced? What was his name? Geo the Rock. Maybe, just maybe, hear me out. You fucking grow a goddamn brain, you stupid pieces of shit. What the fuck? I am at a loss of words and sanity. I feel like I'm in the nut house.
You are. You sadly are. And wait, there's more. So you know how we were reading the comic book?
Yeah.
There's a second comic book already. A second comic book series already called
why don't we just
High
drive
Republic
the nail into
Adventures.
the coffin harder with another nail?
There's already 2 issues out of the second High Republic series as well, so...
Oh, fucking god, dude.
And I know for a fact that series Yoda is going to be getting a lot more screen time, so I can't wait to see what they're going to do to Yoda on that.
I can. I can definitely wait, and I will not engage. Oh, fuck.
Chaos Raven says, so they forgot about the Sith. Hashtag Spaceballs did it better. And Edible Grob says, the white guy gets a description, The Rock gets a description. Where is the female co-pilot's description? She's the co-pilot. The Rock is more interesting. That's the sad part.
At least they're aware of that on this one.
I will say this about Geode the character. Geode is a fish. I think Geode is actually the perfect mascot for woke checklist characters. Because whenever they include a character that's just to tick off a checklist, we can just say there's a rock that's more interesting than that. Because you're not actually including a character when you do that. You're just including a husk, as is the best way to describe it, I'd say. Purest Formless Cancer says, oh boy, an expressionless slab. Finally, the NPCs can feel represented. Yeah, Alfaria says, if this is just an elaborate prank, then GG. Unfortunately,
and I'd have to say definitely. If this is some kind of in-house joke that they're pranking, fucking A, dude. Like, this is the best practical joke I've ever seen. In terms of ballsiness, at the very least.
Well, there's more. Well, I got another one for that that's even ballsier, in my opinion, but we'll get to that.
Really? Ballsier than introducing, unashamedly, a literal fucking rock as a character.
Yeah, good point. And Edible Grob says, I think Lucasfilm is trolling their paying customers. Maybe. Yeah, I kind of... Yeah. Solon says, to Inedible Grob, as Ethan Van Sciver said, they're all the same character over and over again. The co-pilot chick, the Jedi chick, and so on and on and on. Yeah, pretty much. Alfaria says, George will at least be the least annoying. I miss the prequels now. I really do miss the prequels now, because at least the prequels did get us some good things. Okay, granted, the sequels did give us Mandalorian, but... even that, these people are trying to destroy.
I wouldn't even really credit that to the sequels, though.
Yeah.
Because it's completely disconnected from the sequels in every way.
Agreed. Brother Olay says, the left's perfect character with no characteristics. Yeah, this is what perfection looks like. This is peak performance, ladies and gentlemen. Alfaria says, Geode will at least be the least annoying character. Yeah.
I want to point out that in our reading of the comics, in the comments of that comic, of the High Republic comic, there was that idiot who said, I don't know what people were complaining about. This comic is great. I always want to bet that same bot is going to be on the comic for when they introduce Geode in this crew of the vessel. It's going to be, oh my god, like the comedy here is gold. Ha 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 ha.
Yep.
Sniffs own farts. Ha 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 ha. Sniffs own farts.
Chaos Raven says, in the disappointing words of Charlie Brown, I got a rock. Yep. Seeker says, a rock-solid character. This strikes me like they made a joke suggestion at the brainstorm meeting and completely failed to come up with a better character. Honestly, I could actually see that. I could legitimately see...
You're not wrong.
That's the sad part. I could legitimately see that. So, yeah... is there any worse that Disney can do to Star Wars, in your opinion, Asmogan?
Well, I would have said no before this. Like, they keep impressing me with just how far down the shithole they're willing to go. So, yeah. I'm not gonna say no, because I feel like that is just a dare at this point. Same here.
Well, but yeah, is there anything you want to bring up, Asmogan, or?
Well, no, for everyone to know, I wasn't actually expecting to be on this episode. I'm fitting in.
Yeah. Xerus is, well, a little under the weather, so...
yeah, so I'm filling in. But because of that, I have no topics to bring to the table, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I had a few spares to bring up just in case, so... next up on the list, let's talk about everyone's favorite subject, cancel culture. Specifically, Burger King has managed to get themselves canceled today. With this. Asmogan, I believe I already sent you the link. Would you...
oh, the burger? Oh, yeah.
Would you kindly read it?
Well, I'm reading. Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, right. You want me to read this?
I can read it too. I mean,
I feel like someone's gonna soundbite me, and then I'm gonna run it down. So, according to Burger King, women belong in the kitchen. According to Burger King. Okay? Burger King UK, actually. I'm looking at the at least on this one. It says Burger King UK, women belong in the kitchen. Great way to advertise your brand. You nailed it.
Now, what's funny is, the reason why they made this argument, purest form of cancer just says based and burger pilled. The reason they argued is because apparently it is International Women's Day. And
I'm impressed it's got over 503.8 thousand likes.
Yeah, a lot of people like that statement.
It's not even getting ratioed.
Yep.
It's not even getting ratioed. Jesus Christ.
But what's funny about this was them trying to virtue signal and be woke. No, really, this is. The reason they tried to say this was, they go on to say, if they want to, of course, yet only 20% of chefs are women. We're on a mission to change the gender ratio in the restaurant industry by empowering female employees with the opportunity to pursue a culinary career. In other words, they want to increase inclusivity by putting more women in the kitchen. That is their plan to virtue signal.
4D chess logic right there. Jesus Christ. The cojones they have for that one though. And
I mean, to be fair,
most companies won't even go close to that topic right now.
Apparently, I know some companies like KFC tried saying that, but this was genuinely amusing when I found out about this. This one made me laugh. So a little bit of funny news here. Let's see some of the comments. Alfaria says, this is true. Rogel Dorn have a fine understanding of rocks and can give them much character via sculpting. Chaos Raven says, Burger King being trolls lol. Brother Ole says, wait, Burger King, oh boy. And Alfarius also says, we've gone full circle. Chaos Raven says, get ready for the woke crowd to make Burger King a Burger Queen. Lol. You know it's going to happen eventually. Solon the Lich says, Burger Cuck friendly fires on the NPC. Chaos Raven says, 2 steps forward, a mountain cliff back. Yeah, that seems how it is these days, isn't it? But yeah, the fact that this is a thing, it does genuinely make me laugh. Solon the Lich says, accidentally laying the pimp pan left and right. Nathan X 2000 says, for £3, I feel based UK pride. They have my support. Thank you for the super chat. And yeah, I find this to be really amusing. But speaking of other things that have been cancelled, next up, Pepe Le Pew has been cancelled, of all things.
It took them this long. I'm impressed.
He's been specifically removed from the Space Jam sequel, which, as just now that I found out that there is a Space Jam sequel.
You only just found out about that. I found out about it when people were complaining that Lola Bunny wasn't as a I don't know how another way to put it, as sexualized.
Lola Bunny wasn't quite the bunny that we all know.
She wasn't rocking that puffy bunny, you know.
Yeah, she wasn't converting many. She's not converting as many heretics to the way of the furry.
She wasn't erecting as many flagpoles this time around. Let's just
Yep. Alfarius says no.
I say as I'm playing with a quite literal a measuring tape.
Oh God!
Just realized the irony there.
Yeah. Brother Ole says, I'm surprised there is a sequel to Space Jam. I am too. But yeah, and I think we all know why he's getting canceled. It's because, well, I think we all know why.
Yeah, he's a cartoon rapist.
But the next thing that's getting canceled is Jeep. Specifically, Jeep Cherokee.
Oh, what did Jeep do? I need to do this. And Pepe Le Pew, like, I could follow that SJW logic right there, but what did Jeep do? I need to hear this.
Jeep used the Cherokee name for the Jeep Cherokee. That's all they did. And now the chief of the Cherokee Nation wants them to stop using the name. It is legitimately that petty and pointless. In fact, here
today in 2021, as chief of the Cherokee Nation, I am saying categorically that I think it's wrong to use our name.
What's the problem?
To peddle
I guess would be the question.
They're complaining that it's wrong to peddle a vehicle using the name somehow.
It's wrong, like.
Yeah, I know it makes absolutely no sense.
Of all the things, what? I'm genuinely confused. Like, what's the negative impact? I suppose. If anything, it gives people a reason to look up the name.
Yeah, I mean,
how many people knew the name before?
The Jeep Cherokee is also isn't it known for also being a reliable vehicle for outdoors? How is that not a compliment, even? I mean,
they've also been using the Cherokee name a lot. Like it's not like they suddenly named a brand like that. I'm pretty sure the Jeep Grand Cherokee, for example, came out like 2009.
I mean, yeah, the Cherokee's been out for a long time. I got one.
Yeah, I'm totally perplexed. Like, if you were gonna bitch and moan about this, wouldn't you do it back when they first did? Like, why is this on your concern list?
It shouldn't be. I could actually trying to argue that the Jeep using their name is the biggest insult to the Cherokee Nation is actually hilarious. Because I could actually go into recent history and talk about some of that stuff too, if you really wanted to, but
I don't particularly.
Anyway, so which this guy here, by the way, would be implicit in the guy calling for Jeep to stop using the name. But let's actually look at some of the comments. Alferia says, I'm surprised as well. Seeker says, another casualty to the blue anon. Purest form of cancer says, this is so sad. Pepe Le Pew was my guide to how to woo women. Chaos Raven says...
A little too persistent, my friend.
Chaos Raven says, watches the heretics turn on themselves. Furry versus woke. Brother Ole says, what? Alferia says, stop, brothers. Let the Xenos thin each other first. Seeker says, that chief looks white as fuck. To be fair... there's very few Cherokee that are actually pure-blooded. There's a whole lot of reasons for that. And well, for a start, the Cherokee were very well known historically for adopting people into the nation that weren't necessarily Cherokee. So there is that element of it. So that's a good example right there, where they'd have people that were abducted or married into the Cherokee family, and they ended up becoming Cherokee that way. So that did happen. And speaking of, actually, now that you mention it, one of the things I will talk about that of Cherokee history, which, yeah, the Cherokee Nation is still a thing, by the way, albeit it's a nation. Cherokee Nation is still a thing the way that Scotland is still a nation, basically, more or less. So a little bit of history. Asmogan, are you familiar with the story of the so-called Cherokee freedmen?
No.
All right. So I get to talk about that and the recent and the things, a little bit about history there. Here's a good example for you guys. Cherokee freemen were, when the Cherokee Nation became one of the so-called 5 civilized nations, five civilized tribes of the Americas, the Cherokee Nation, actually, along with all the other five civilized tribe nations, actually did do slavery, believe it or not. And the Cherokee freemen are the descendants of those that got freed after the American Civil War. So, here's the thing, though, that gets messed up about that. The Cherokee Nation was very, very fucking slow when it came to giving them citizenship and the right to vote. Guess how long it took for him to get the right to vote? Just guess.
20 years?
No. Give me not 20 years ago or anything. Just give me the year you think they got the right to vote.
Oh, the year.
The year they got to right the vote. And citizenship.
I would be shooting entirely in the dark there. I have no clue.
Well, just guess. It's a guess.
2000.
2017.
Never mind.
In other words, if you were the descendant of a slave in the Cherokee Nation, you did not have citizenship or the right to vote until 2017. The Cherokee government that Chuck Hoskin here, the guy demanding the name be removed, was a part of in 2017. And he wants to complain about Jeep being the Jeep using the name as the saddest thing regarding the Cherokee Nation in recent history. Seems kind of ironic there, doesn't it?
Yeah, kind of. And it's not surprising though. I guess he's a version of a politician for them, and they're all on that same wavelength at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, let's focus on these non-issues because it's a lot less work to bitch and moan about this stuff than it is to actually address real ones.
Real ones that Chuck Hoskin here is complicit in, to an extent. But, yeah, that kind of annoyed me. But I do have basically two more things to talk about, I guess, so I know we're moving pretty fast. This is probably going to be a really short stream. But, yeah, let's move on away from this. It's just pointless bickering on this one. But, so there is actually, we actually get to talk a little bit more about 6 Days in Fallujah, because there's actually been two things regarding that.
All right.
Now, I'll go ahead and give you the link. First of all, are you familiar with the name Dean Takahashi?
I am familiar with Dean Takahashi.
Good. This is an interview he did a few days ago with Peter Tamte, the guy making 6 Days in Fallujah. Now, the interview, I haven't read it through completely, but it does actually seem like it is a decent interview from what I've seen. Which I've read about halfway through, I'll admit. But like I said, what I've seen, it does seem like he's trying to provide it in a relatively even-handed view.
From what I know of Dean Takahashi, his track record is mixed.
It is.
Like, he's had some good moments, and he's had some bad.
Yeah. The bad...
Which is, in a way, better than the vast majority of others in his same field. Like, most of them have just bad records.
Yeah. So...
At least to the gamer.
Yeah. His bad moments usually involve him when actually trying to play games, admittedly. Mm-hmm. Like Cuphead or Doom Eternal, but...
He'll never live those down.
No, he won't, but...
to be fair, that's how I found out about him. I learned more about him after after the clip of his... I can't even call it gameplay of Cuphead, because it's more like an exercise in futility.
I mean, to be fair, after his Doom Eternal gameplay, I ended up doing a discussion with him, and the discussion actually went pretty well itself. But I would say, But yeah, let's see. So he actually does talk about the history of the game. So Tamte, in the history of the game, says, project began when a Marine named Eddie Garcia, who I've gotten to know quite well, he was blown up by a mortar in Fallujah. He was medevaced out of Fallujah. Very dramatic story. Seconds away from losing his life, he went to a field hospital then a hospital in Baghdad, then a hospital in Germany, then in the US. Just a couple weeks after he was hospitalized, he reached out to me and started telling me these stories of things that had happened during the Battle of Fallujah. It bothered me a lot that I hadn't heard any of these stories because these were remarkable. These are stories as dramatic as anything in history, and I hadn't heard them. He was the one who suggested, he said, "Our generation plays video games. Would you be willing to tell these stories through a game?" I said yes, and then within weeks after that, I was interviewing on camera Marines who had just returned from battle to tell us their stories. So the person who came up with the idea to even make the game was a Marine that actually fought there and was wounded there named Eddie Garcia. And yeah, that's the motivation. And he said, okay. But where is the... There was one quote here I really wanted to point out because it does show the disconnect between... Okay, here we go. So, Dean asked Tampty, looking it up, Black Hawk Down came out in theaters in 2001. It feels like there's a double standard at work. And Tampty responds, something that's upset me is that there is, without a doubt, a perception that because we have the word game, that we can only deal with trivial things. I think that misses the real opportunity and perhaps even responsibility for those who are game creators. Every other medium is about watching what somebody else does. Video games are about what you do. I didn't learn how to ride a bike by watching somebody else ride a bike. I learned how to ride a bike by getting on a bike and trying it myself. As humans, we learn a lot more by doing things we do by watching. Now, admittedly, and I think everyone will agree, actual combat is not the same as playing a video game.
Absolutely not.
However, that said, it is also true that the military does actually use some games as training for the actual personnel. It's not the same, but it does help in that regard. Also, there's a really good video from a YouTuber and veteran by the name of Matimus who talked about how a lot of soldiers actually use video games as a means of reducing their stress, as a means of making the transition from soldier to civilian a lot easier. That's how they... So apparently, some of the more realistic games are even therapeutic for a lot of veterans to actually play, believe it or not. Anyways, going on, he says, very early in this project, I wanted players to put into these situations where they had to make the same sort of split-second life and death decisions that we were asking these 22-year-old corporals to make. Through that, I believe that it would gain an empathy for the corporal in that situation, but also for the complexity of the situation. For those who think we were going to try to justify the war in Iraq, that question of whether the U.S. should have gone into Iraq is never a part of what we're doing. We're interested in that corporal's experience, the extent to which the decisions made by policymakers affect the decisions a corporal has to make. So basically bureaucratic incompetence making life harder for the boots on the ground, is what he's saying, right? That seems to be the only element politically that he is actually interested in when it comes to the game. But what are your thoughts from all of this so far?
And I find it pretty fascinating and definitely a good basis for which a game can be made. And it sounds to me like this is going to be a lot more story-driven and I guess personally driven than something like the Call of Duty stories we typically see, where it's just, the story is just a track in which the train of action and gunfights and guns and shit is usually driven on. It kind of sounds like it's more, I guess there's something more to latch onto there than what like normal like FPS gamers are used to. Something I would probably be more interested in. I will say that the average, especially if you're like preteen, or if you're like if you're younger than 18, really, this will probably not catch you as much though. That's like the downside. Because the younger you are, the less appreciation, I guess, of like the sacrifices and the things that go on around you is, and that's just normal. So that's the only like part of it I'll say is that I think this will not attract people who are younger than 18.
Yeah.
Instinctively.
But it does show how also dishonest the journalists have been by trying to argue that...
Oh, yeah, we already knew that, though.
Yeah. Well, it shows it even better, though. But what's interesting is that that he's made a new statement, which, if you put it in the context of what he said here... Well, let me read you the statement. I'll actually provide you a link, too. There you go. We understand, the statement reads, we understand the events recreated in 6 Days in Fallujah are inseparable from politics. Here's how the game gives voice to a variety of perspective. The stories are told through gameplay and documentary footage featuring service members and civilians with diverse experiences and opinions about the Iraq War. So far, 26 Iraqi civilians and dozens of service members have shared the most difficult moments of their lives with us, so we can share them with you in their words. The documentary segments discuss many tough topics, including the events and political decisions that led to the Fallujah battles, as well as their aftermath. I'm presuming they're talking about the bureaucratic incompetence there, right?
Most likely.
Yeah. As well as, while we do not allow players to use white phosphorus as a weapon during gameplay, its use is described during the documentary segments. During gameplay, players will participate in stories that are given context through the documentary segments. Each mission challenges players to solve real military and civilian scenarios from the battle interactively, offering a perspective into urban warfare not possible through any other media. We believe the stories of this generation's sacrifices deserve to be told by the Marines, soldiers, and civilians who were there. We trust you will find the game, like the events it recreates, to be complex. So, what's your take on this statement?
My take on the statement is just that it seems like they're on the back foot. Like I'm assuming they're getting a lot of hate messages, hate mail, probably death threats from the psychos on the left.
Oh, they absolutely are getting that, but
and this feels like like a defensive statement. Honestly, though, I think they didn't need to make it.
I do agree that I don't think they needed to make it. I don't think they're doing themselves any favors by making it, but they made it, so now we have journalists trying to say that they've done a U-turn on politics comments, which they haven't actually done a U-turn on the whole statement of whether or not we should have been there, or whether or not the game will cover whether we should have been there or not, because that's not the point of the game. So the journalist in this IGN article, Joe Scabrels, has pretty much flat out lied to people about the whole situation.
And yeah, you shouldn't be surprised. I mean, I'm not at all. Like, at this point, if you read IGN regularly, you need to seek medical help, because you're just getting you're getting a crock full of shit.
Yeah, but it's not just them either. It's all the major...
them, Kotaku. Actually, is Kotaku still around? I haven't heard anything from them in forever, which is abnormal.
Yeah, there's a whole heap of articles just written
Bar Paper Shotgun
today about the whole thing just because of that. So these people are getting a lot of flack from that. All because they want to make a video game that the journalists do not like, and the journalists are going to do their absolute best to sabotage it because we cannot have nice things, apparently.
And that's exactly how you should look at it at the end of the day. That's all that it really is. Bunch of shitty people trying to corrupt and degrade and put down everything.
Yeah.
Why? Most of them, it's probably just for secondhand fame.
It's ideological for a lot of the people, though, too.
I really don't think so. And I don't think that these people actually believe half the shit that they say. I don't believe that at all. I believe that they fight for these causes because A, they think it makes them look good, and B, secondhand fame. I don't believe these people have an ounce of sincere belief in what they say.
I'm not sure on that. Because
I stand by it. I don't believe these people believe a single ounce of what they say.
Well, the way I look at it is this: after seeing college science, what's it called, academic sources saying these sorts of things, arguing that everything is political and thus we need to make everything push a particular agenda because everything's already political. I mean, this kind of stuff is getting pushed to college students as part of their educational curriculum. So I do think that there is definitely some legitimate... I do think there is a considerable portion of the woke crowd that genuinely believe that the things they say.
And I don't care if it's shoved down your throat by a teacher or not. There's shit tons of crap that teachers try to shove down my throat I don't believe. So,
well, fair enough.
You know, you can give them all the credit in the world you want to give them, man, but I don't think they have any real belief in their hearts at all. I think I think if they did, it'd be more respectful. I think it's just an excuse to look good. These people are in it for the melodrama, they're in it for the attention, and they're in it because it gets their proverbial dicks hard. When everybody likes their tweets and is like, yes, slay, queen, like that's what they're in it for. Why do you think they always post this shit on social media? How many of these jackasses, if they truly believed what they believed, why is it we don't see them actually doing real, genuine things to fight for what they believe in? The closest we get to that is Antifa, and they're still cowards who hide behind fucking masks.
Well,
and even then, they say they hate cops, but then how many times have we seen Antifa when they start getting pushback for their horrible actions do they call the police? They don't believe what they fucking say. And I don't believe for a moment that they do. It's fake conviction for the sake of fame. That's all it is.
Maybe. Then again, these are people who believe the ends justify the means at all times. So if their end goal is benefited from, for example, Antifa calling the cops, it would make sense in that respect for them to do it. But you do have a fair point. Let's see. Some of the comments here. Brother Olay says, not all games need to be political, and for some odd reason we keep seeing a high demand for political games. Just watch the news. I hate watching the news these days. I legitimately
don't watch the news.
Cannot stand
I do not watch
news
the
on
news.
TV. I'll admit, what news I do watch. I do of course read articles, but I cannot stand news on TV these days because of just how bad it is. Vinny Mion says, bro, can we please go back to games just being games? Why has it always got to involve some big message? Again, the ideology that these people push very much argues that everything is always political and thus always propaganda at all times. It's not even that they just believe everything's political. They also believe that everything is meant to push a message, even if that message is being pushed subconsciously. So these people do legitimately see everything, and I do mean everything, as propaganda. It's why you have game journalists like Ben Kuchera arguing that Tetris...
You know, we used to put people who used to see things where they weren't in a very special place with a padded room and a nice jacket that made you hug yourself. Now we praise them on Twitter.
Yeah. Maybe that's the special place with the jacket for them to hug themselves now. That said, if these people were actually the virtue signaling type, why not just virtue signal something that's actually legitimately popular, as in not woke politics?
Because that's not as much. That doesn't give their proverbial dicks hard. That doesn't get them as much brownie points with the other crazies.
Why side with the other crazies? Why not side with the sane majority if you're just doing it for popularity?
Because the sane majority don't feel like the majority on places like Twitter. Because the sane majority are not on social media 24/7. The psychopaths are. Why do you think they're on there so much?
Alferia says, I hate how right you are. I'm not sure what this is in reference to, but he says, because Fallout Frontier is living evidence to your thesis. Seeker says, even Antifa is paid for their services. Antifa need to be paid for their services in cold steel and hot lead. That's all I've got to say about that. Chaos Raven says, I hate being right sometimes, especially when it's negative. There will never be another New Vegas with most of these companies and Twitter mob having cancellation power. Hashtag Gina power, hashtag cancel. Okay, so that's what Alferis was referencing. Okay. Brother Ole says, why is it that wokeness destroys everything they touch? Again, it's because they believe everything's political, and when you believe everything's political, the priority becomes pushing the agenda, not so much as making actual good art. So, because making actual good art becomes a secondary at best objective, that means that going woke does legitimately reduce your competence in that regard. Just by the very nature of how it works. That's why, right there. Vinny Mion says, big companies pandering to an audience that isn't going to buy their product anyways is killing all the fun in the world. Football, games, movies, everything has to be so correct and boring. Yes. Captain Caboose says to me, because they think they're the sane ones, because they think the sane ones are the morons on Twitter. Yeah, they've tricked themselves into believing that, but again, yeah, that's what happens when you have a bunch of people that are indoctrinated into believing that everything is political. And yeah, I could actually go on even longer about that, but we've been at this for 40 minutes so far. Unfortunately, I only have one story left to cover, so let's go through the PC Gamer article. Unless you guys in the chat want us to cover anything else. So, admittedly, this isn't a particularly interesting article in my opinion, but but it did make me amused a little bit because of how poorly thought out some of the arguments are. I wish video games let me paint my army, says Fraser Brown. So, what are your thoughts on this?
As I said before, with the title and subtitle, I agree with. Like, I would like more games to give customization, especially like turn-based or RTSs and stuff like that. It would be great if we could like select the colors and customize banners and stuff like that. But most games that have elements of like armies or elements of factions and stuff like that allow some form of customization in that regard.
Yeah, they already do that for the most part.
Yeah, most do. Like even back in the fucking 90s, early 2000s, like look at Warcraft 3.
Mm-hmm. You
can customize, like when you play with other people, you can customize your army to have a specific color. Like, oh, I want to be red, I want to be blue, I want to be pink, I want to be gray.
Mm-hmm.
It pretty much always had some level of this. So
Halo 2 did it way back in the day.
Yeah, like customization of like colors and stuff like that has always been an element.
A lot of people are also pointing out Dawn of War, which you guys are going to find this amusing.
Oh yeah. That was stupid what this guy says, but I'll let you go.
So yeah, one of the things he says, let's go down to this paragraph where he says, I love the dense lore and grim sci-fi battles of 40k, but the real appeal is seeing the army that I built and painted by hand kicking the shit out of another army. I adore my Necrons and Space Wolves because they are 100% mine. Every brushstroke, every imperfection. So when I play Dawn of War or Total War Warhammer, it's weird because it feels like I'm playing with someone else's toys. So the one of the two games he picks, first of all, one of those two games isn't even 40k, it's Warhammer Fantasy. But the one game that is 40k that he picks does let you do this.
Mm-hmm. Your army customizer in Dawn of War.
Yes.
Which has always been there, as far as I can recall.
Yes.
So it's not like that got patched in. That's always been there.
Yes.
So I'm not sure what the fuck he's talking about.
Yes. It's also, that... So yeah, the dude legitimately does not know about the game he's even playing. Chaos Raven says he calls it grim sci-fi and not grim dark. Lol. Alfaria says, what? He's stupid. Yep, he is.
He's stupid.
It's not even that rare for games to let you customize it in 40k either.
It's increasingly more common.
I know for a fact Mechanicus lets you characterize or customize your characters. DACA Squadron lets you customize your fighter jets.
And even if we get outside the realm of 40K, if we just talk about games in general, most games, especially if they become popular or have an online mode, have some way for you to customize your character to look unique. So, in fact, there are entire games where almost their entire selling point is the customization of your character. Like, look at Mass Builder. Yeah, you got the gameplay and playing as a mech, like an anime-style mech, just beating the shit out of. Like, kind of like a beat-em-up style. But let's be honest, the major selling point of that game, of Mass Builder, is the ability to basically build your mech and customize literally every single part of the mech. From the shoulder pad, to the fingers, to the hands, to the forearm, the shoulder pads, the face, the helmet, the greaves. Like literally, the entire games are being sold off of their concepts and aspects of their customizable units. So this feels like an article that should have been around early 2000s, late 90s.
Yeah, this is an article that is 20 years too late.
And yeah, like I'm not understanding, I guess, where the fuck he's coming from. Like, this is so wrong. Is he just not bothering to look into the systems past surface level?
Maybe. I don't know how on earth you can not notice that Dawn of War, the fact that it lets you customize your armies pretty robustly too. And there's plenty of other tabletop-based sci-fi games that will let you do that as well. BattleTech, for example, lets you customize your mechs and how they look. So that's another one right there that comes off the top of my head. Connection's down, so I'll have to wait for it before I can see any more of the chat. Alfaria says, this hurts, and Chaos Raven says, this is why we have gatekeepers. Yes, it is. So, yeah, ultimately, it's... Chaos Raven says... Or Alfairy says he's lying. Chaos Raven says, I want to play Mech Warrior 2 now, lol. I heard that there's a rumor that someone is remaking Mech Warrior 2 in the Unity engine of all things. So I'm interested to see if that comes out soon or not. Alfairy says, he is just complaining there is a literal thing on the menu that says Army Painter. I know. Wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost like customization is there, and this guy...
It's almost like he hasn't played the fucking game.
Yeah. Yeah, that is exactly what it is.
And I was going to bring up Gladius, but then now that I recall, yeah, like Warcraft 3, that has like a color, like an army color chooser. So even there, like I'm trying to think of a 40K game where you can't customize your look. And every one that pops in my head, there's some form of it. Like even in Space Marine, the third-person shooter. Yeah, and without mods, you can't customize a single player. But multiplayer, there's literally a gigantic system in which you can unlock armors, colors, and customize your Space Marine for online matches. So again, I'm struggling to think of any game he could be talking about that he maybe just.
What's amusing is he actually in the later paragraph actually points out his own incompetence here. He says, sometimes we'll see a nod to the massive potential for customization, like choosing a color scheme for your burly space lads in Dawn of War.
What?
Yeah! So, it doesn't have customization, except it does have customization.
But not enough customization. What the fuck do you want them to do? The game is from, a decade ago now? Actually, no.
It's from 2003 or 2004 from Dawn of War, or decking them out with new gear in Dawn of War 2. Oh, my head! It's like, my head.
Dawn of War is a 2004 RTS. Okay, so I'm right. So it's over almost 2 decades old. No shit, it doesn't let you choose specific pauldron types and fucking helmet types and shit. Like, it's over 2 decades old, dude. What the fuck are you expecting? Hell, being able to choose individual parts of your armor to have specific color was fucking groundbreaking back then.
Yeah, he just will. Okay, so he complains about a game getting shut down called Might and Magic Showdown, which apparently was a late 2017, so way past Might and Magic's prime, unfortunately. But here's how he ends it: judging by the hundreds and hundreds of hours I put into the likes of Dawn of War and Total War Warhammer, the absence of painting.
Wait, is he trying to say he wants to literally paint his minion? Like, maybe that's what he's trying to say.
Maybe.
Is he trying to say, hey, I want to literally have like a digital paintbrush and character model, and I want to very carefully like paint. First of all, let me address the Might and Magic point. I'm a fucking huge fan of the Might and Magic series of video games. Fucking love those. You know how old those are now?
Yeah.
Like, the last Might and Magic I played, at least, was Might and Magic 4? And that was, like, 2006, 2007?
Well, hold on. The game he showed...
forever ago.
The game he points out is Might and Magic Showdown, which was shut down in 2017, only 6 months after its early access launch. So, it's a much more recent one, but it's a trash one, apparently.
Like, And I didn't play that one, even in early access. But last Might and Magic I played was 4, and wasn't the best. I think, like, I want to say Might and Magic 4. I'm trying to think of like what would be my favorite Might and Magic. Probably 3.
Yeah, a lot of people like 3.
3 was probably the best.
4
was all right, but I for me, like, it went downhill from 3 in my opinion. 4 was okay, but it wasn't as good as 3.
4 was made on a hamstring budget, especially the expansions, but
definitely.
Let's see some of the comments. So Captain Boo says, so he wants to actually paint the models in a sim-like game. Does Tabletop Simulator let you paint models? I have to wonder.
Not to the degree that is suggested. Like, now keep in mind, I don't use Tabletop Simulator that much, like, especially like its mods. Like, I haven't gone wicked out there, so I don't know if you can paint at all in them. I know that you can make custom games and stuff and have custom like assets you can mod in for stuff. In that regard, you can kind of sort of paint that, but that's not in Tabletop Simulator. That's in like a secondary software that you would then transfer as a 3D asset into a game, into a board game on Tabletop Simulator.
So basically, what he's wanting a game asset development kit of some sort, just to physically paint. Yeah,
but again, like the examples he's using games that are decades old.
Yeah.
Like this article would have had to come out in the early 2000s to be relevant whatsoever.
Yeah.
It just comes off like he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah, and he keeps contradicting himself. He wanted Dawn of War to have the ability to paint your armies, yet he openly admits Dawn of War lets you paint your armies. Brother Olay says double Captain Picard facepalm. Alfaria says this man is more of a boomer than the Necrons. Chaos Raven says tries to run paintbrush through monitor. Alfaria says he is so technologically inept. Brother Kill says no, not really. Alfaria says yes, but not that well. Captain Boo says not really. Brother Kakil says you can change colors for things, but that's about it. Hell, that doesn't even work half the time. That's unfortunate, but still, this is what journalism looks like, ladies and gentlemen. And this is one of the more meh articles. Not even the absolute dumpster fires that we see. This is one of the more middle of the road ones, but it's still. Why is it just? But yeah, do you have anything else to add to the Asmogan?
Not really. The guy's a dumbass.
Agreed. All right, so chat, is there any particular stories you would like us to cover? I could probably look it up if you guys want. We'll give you a few minutes, and if I don't hear anything by the 1 hour mark, which will be in about 5 or 6 minutes, I think it would be a good time to call the stream. But yeah, you have to wonder what is going on with people. How on earth do you make an article like this? In this stand, it makes no sense.
You plop your fat ass down, snort some cocaine, drink some booze, and just type away, smashing your face on the keyboard. Sign your name on it and send it to your publication. And they're like, "Oh, this is a great article. Let's post it."
Brother Olay says, "Did this journalist find these games this year?" And Chaos Raven says, "Gretchens are smarter than these people." Ugh.
And the thing is, how would you find these games this year? Like, other than people who played it back in the day and got, like, recommended it later on, I can't think of any new people coming to play Dawn of War or Space Marine, any games like that. Well, you know, with the Russian Badger video on Space Marine, like, I can see that. Or Space Hulk Deathwing, I can see that. But I can't think of any, like, popular video, like, YouTubers making something about Dawn of War in forever.
Oh, so there is actually something
the only way you're getting introduced to Dawn of War, being not familiar with it from your past, is if like you have an older friend who's recommending it to you, or like a parent.
So I actually got a request from someone to cover something. So have you heard of a new trend called super straight? A new meme.
No, I haven't.
Super straight. All right. I'll actually look this. I know exactly what this is. So, super straight is a new meme identity thing. Go ahead and send you a link.
New meme identity thing?
Alright, so here's the thing about... Okay, so you know how a lot of the woke crowd have been arguing that, well, if you're a straight person and you don't find trans people attractive, then you're a transphobe, and that straight people need to find trans individuals attractive.
And suck it up, buttercup. Like, I'm attracted to who I'm attracted to.
Yeah, I know. But they've been trying to argue that that any straight people that are not attracted to trans people are bigots. So an actual legitimate genius decided to come up with a new gender orientation.
Well, let me throw the reverse logic at you. Okay? By that same tone of logic, a gay person not being attracted to the opposite sex is an insult to them and is offensive.
Yes, actually.
And is bigoted.
Yes,
like,
actually.
Quite literally, that's the same fucking logic. It's the same... It's no less fucking retarded.
That's actually a thing, like, I think.
If I hit on a girl and she says, "Sorry, I'm a lesbian," at a bar, does that give me credence to say, "No, well, you're just a stuck-up bigot who's full of yourself"? And
yes, actually, that's
same dumb fucking shit.
Yes,
that they're saying. Like, there's no fucking difference, none at all.
Yes,
there's none.
I know.
I don't. Feel free to clip that and send it to somebody who's arguing that this makes sense. It's no less, quote-unquote, bigoted and stuck up. People are attracted to who they're fucking attracted to.
I know.
Okay?
I know. But here's the thing, right? So here's the thing. What you said is actually a thing, though. There was a case where there was a couple. The woman of the couple said that she suddenly it was a heterosexual, a straight couple. The woman then suddenly comes out as a lesbian, so the man, a male feminist, decided to come out as a trans woman. And then so the lesbian could therefore not deny the trans woman now. And so they stayed as a couple. So that is actually a legit thing. But here's the thing. So they actually this is the actual story though. So some absolute legend decided to create their own sexual orientation called super straight, as in straight but not attracted to trans people, right? So only attracted to cisgendered people. And this has caused the left to absolutely lose their minds, especially on Twitter. Because now, technically, super straight is not the standard straight. It's technically part of the alphabet soup community in its own right. So it's now being protected in places like the UK under hate speech laws. So now all these SJW types...
What a legend.
All these SJW types that are making threats and calling for all sorts of horrible things to happen to the super straight community. All these SJWs are now committing hate crimes in the UK.
That's so fitting. Fucking god.
Brother Olace.
Clown world. We're in fucking clown world.
Brother Olay says, has anyone seen the amount of threats the left is making over super straight? It's not even threats at this point. It's calls for genocide. It's legitimate calls for extermination in some case. But
and I'm not surprised in the fucking least.
And the thing is, these people don't have an argument anymore. They legitimately don't have an argument. We'll leave aside the fact that they're trying to force people to essentially try to find others attractive without their consent. But yeah.
And I got nothing. There's really nothing I can really throw at this. It's just stupid.
It is, but it's still... Captain Glue says, wait, what is that emergency heresy on your top entries this week? Ace is one of us. Oh, that's I think you're probably talking about the Lola thing, which is not me. It's just know your meme being know your meme, so... Zimzilla says, every day I see more people going mask off and just admitting they hate straight people. Yeah, well, they hate super straight people, which is its own sexual orientation. And because it's not the standard straight, it is...
So I'm kind of struggling here to understand, like, the difference. Like, so super straight, according to this definition, is...
Super straight will not... Okay, so if you're super straight, you do not find trans people attractive. If you're just straight, you do not find them attractive to you. They're not part of your preference. If you're just straight, then according to the woke community, you do find trans people attractive. Either that or you're a bigot. So...
Well, personal, I guess by that standard, I don't count under super straight. I was about to say maybe I do, but I don't. Because I've been attracted to some trans people. The thing is, my philosophy with this, with that whole situation, is if the transition is pretty far along, and they don't have the southern bits, then I personally, this is preference to me, I don't have a problem with it. Because I've dated true-born women who were the devil incarnate, so, and
yeah,
at this point, I'm not very picky, and B, I've met a trans person who's pretty awesome, and I like them quite a bit, and I'd say if circumstances were different, I'd ask them out. But that being said, that's where I'm coming from. My philosophy, though, is as a whole, when it comes to like this shit, who cares? Be attracted to who you're attracted to.
Yeah.
It's no one else's business.
I would say that I personally would probably fit under the super straight, but that's mainly because
I don't think you're a fucking bigot for that either. Like, that's your fucking preference.
It's really...
I don't understand. That's the whole fight of the LGBTQ plus community, isn't it? The fight to be able to love who you want to love, and that be it, full stop. Like, who gives a shit past that?
Oh, but no, that's not how the community acts these days. The community acts these days is suck the trans dick, you lesbian bigot.
And I'd say this isn't even the stupidest thing, though. I think the stupidest thing is them trying to co-opt pedophilia into the fucking LGBTQ plus
thing. Yeah.
Now that outdoes this, in my opinion.
Yeah, that is a legit thing. That is a legit thing. But Chaos Raven says, if they make us an ultra straight, we've gone too far. Lol. Ultra Smurfs will not be born. Oh god.
Fuck you.
Heresy detected. Alright, but anyways, so we've been at it for about an hour. Like I said, that said, my whole take on it is be whoever the hell you want to be. I have no problem if you're trans or whatnot, but be whoever the hell you want to be. And that's the thing that people seem to have forgotten these days. Nathan X 2000 says, wait, is Ace identifying as super straight? Well, I'm kind of interested in starting a family, so that kind of requires a cisgendered individual of the opposite sex, does it not?
There's always the argument of adopting.
I want to pass my bloodline on, so
then yes, you will need someone of the opposite gender. That is a requirement.
Yeah, that is a legit requirement. So, yeah, I guess for that reason, that would be, that's why right there. So I guess now I'm part of the alphabet soup community. Hooray!
Excuse me, my name is Ace, and I'm a member of the LGBTQ plus community. Really? Which one do you belong to? I'm a super straight. Die!
I'm the world's first super straight Cherokee man.
Oh god. I identify as this.
Now, Chaos Raven says, next topic, Godzilla vs. King Kong, or maybe Elder Scrolls 6. I mean, we've already...
I haven't heard anything new about Elder Scrolls 6. So
I haven't heard anything myself. Nathan X 2000 says, Ace, give me 20 minutes and you're getting a new emblem. Oh, God!
Monstrosity is the inventing.
I mean, if you get it done, I'll probably post it up in the community post for you, too. But yeah, so let's actually see what's new about King Kong vs. Godzilla. Let's see if there's anything new on that. So, well, technically it would be Godzilla vs. King Kong, because King Kong vs. Godzilla is the other movie from the 1960s. So
yeah, all I'm saying is, in this fight, I'm Team Zilla.
Same.
They be doing my lizard boy a disfavor in that last trailer I saw, though. Kong was whipping his fucking ass.
Captain Caboose says the Redfield name needs to be passed on. Brother Kakil says, I identify as confused, so now it's... Okay. Chaos Raven says, super straight Ace, Deathstroke in the sky, lol. Strawman says, this is straight, and this is to go even further beyond!
It's over 9,000! God, I'm bursting the game.
Oh, Strawman, you absolute legend!
Coming with the meteorite comment right there.
So, how long until we have someone that is super straight god super straight?
Fairly soon at this rate.
Alright. So apparently there is an article suggesting, apparently some people are wondering if Godzilla vs. King Kong is going to get a sequel.
Wait, did it even come out yet?
I don't think it has.
How are we even talking about a sequel yet, then? If it hasn't come out yet, like, we don't even know the result of the fight.
Yeah.
Then again, I guess that hasn't stopped Hollywood before from making sequels, but...
Alright, so I'm going to post this into the chat so you guys can see it. I'm going to check this out too. Will Godzilla vs. King Kong get a sequel? Here's the director's honest answer. And the answer is a very non-answer, basically. It says, well, I guess like any sequel, that's up to if people are super into this one, which I'm biased, but I think they'll definitely be into it. Who knows what the future holds, but the fan enthusiasm is there, absolutely. Why would we ever want to end this if people want more? I mean, that's a very honest answer, I will give him that, but it's also a very corporate answer, too. There's the link for you. It's coming out this month, so yeah. Ultimately, that does suggest, though, that it's going to be a very open-ended ending, potentially. To be fair, you could argue that was the case with King Kong vs. Godzilla way back in 1962. But I digress. Ultimately, though, I do think we are starting to run a little bit out of steam. What do you think, Asmogan?
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
So I think,
and I got a bunch of recording I got to do today. So
yeah, fair enough. So I think it is going to be a good time to call it. Nathan X 2000. Tell you what, when you get finished with that, just go ahead and drop us a link in the comments, and I will see about copying it, or yeah, even leave it in Asmogan's Discord server, and I should be able to find it there, and just tag me, and I'll go ahead and have a look at it, and hopefully I'll be and yeah, if it's good, I'll put it up on the community post. But yeah, I'll go ahead and leave you guys. Brother Ole says heard hearsay about Mechagodzilla. That would actually be interesting.
It's not an anime. Fuck no.
Yeah, the anime Godzilla's been very, not very good from what I've heard.
I will not. I cannot see them doing a live action Mecha unless they do a Pacific Rim style. Like bring in the crew who did the Pacific Rim animations for Gypsy Danger and the other. I'd love to see them do Godzilla v Mechagodzilla.
Brother Kakul asks,
anybody else new?
Brother Kakul asks, are you running on Top Chat again? No, it says live chat, so I don't know what's going on there.
It says live chat for me, too.
Let's see if there was any comments made by Kakul. Kakul says, I have new news, new model for Bellacore. That's a thing. Okay. Nathan X 2000 says, don't go to Discord. We've been shitposting like mad. Zimzilla says, well, about Mechagodzilla. I'm going to have a look at this news regarding Mechagodzilla just to check, just to see if there's anything else there. I mean, okay, so there's apparently a leaked photo that revealed Mechagodzilla. And it's going to be in Godzilla vs. King Kong. So it sounds like they might have... That's what it's saying. That seems like a very, very, very... If this is supposed to be the image, then that seems like a very questionable... Yeah, it seems like a... Okay, let me check to see if I get a better image of it just for this. Chaos Raven says Ghidorah's head is used to run Mechagodzilla. Well, yeah, it's used to run Mechagodzilla 2 specifically. Very specifically. The original Mechagodzilla was its own thing. But Mechagodzilla 2, yeah, did use technology from King Ghidorah's head. That's in the lore of the Heisei series. Specifically. In the Millennium series, they used the bones of the original Godzilla to build Mechagodzilla around. All right, so I'm gonna have to look this up just a little bit quickly, just because people are asking about this leak. Apparently, so there's been some toy images that have leaked online and some other stuff, so... Yeah, there are some toy images of Mechagodzilla, apparently. So that is interesting.
Is it possible they're just toys?
Theoretically, but... I will have to look this up, so... Yeah, see? So there are some Mechagodzilla toys leaked, as well as another unknown titan of some description. Looks like it's another Godzilla style of monster, admittedly.
That might be, there's a movie I watched. One of the Godzilla movies I watched growing up. Godzilla with... Yeah, it's the one where there was baby Godzilla, and there was a guy on the island and a bunch of bombs and shit.
Well, there is Godzilla vs. Destroya.
That might be Destroya.
That came out in 1995. That was the one where he... Although bombs on the island, that's... I don't recall that one.
There was a Japanese man who wanted revenge on Godzilla and was on an island trying to kill him.
That's Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. That I know what you're talking about. That's the one that came out right before
That's
that.
literally I rewatched that so much on VHS.
Same here. I've watched every single Godzilla movie, with the exception of the animated films that have come out very, very recently. I've not seen those quite yet. Brother Cacule says, why is YouTube recommending me children's videos under this video? That's a mystery. I don't know.
Not a clue.
That's a weird one. Because my recommended show, for example, Arch's video on the game's $70 thing. Zimzilla says he was in the first trailer in one of the TV spots. Oh, that's a super old leak there. Our new images and stuff. Okay. But, again, so it does look like there's going to be a Mechagodzilla, so that sounds interesting enough. When this movie comes about, I might end up having to review it. I'll admit that. I'll try to get my sweetheart to watch it as well, but knowing her, that could be a little bit difficult to do. Anyways, I think this is a good time to call it. We've been at it for about 77 minutes. Admittedly, this is a shorter stream, but Nathan X... you can I'm pretty sure you can still find me on Asmogan's Discord. So yeah, when you're done, go ahead and put that up. Send me that because I do want to see that. But yeah, I think this is a good time to call it. So this has been Ace,
Asmogan,
and we will see you all again soon. Oh wait, there's actually one more thing. Asmogan, would you be willing to read for the comic book live stream? Would you be busy on Wednesday by chance?
Not to my knowledge.
If you want, I did find out where we can find those other Star Wars High Republic comic book series and read those online.
You know, I think something magically came up in my schedule a few moments ago. Family member died, dog not feeling well, something.
But if you do happen to have free time, you might be willing to maybe look, or is that a no?
Fine.
Fine? Alright. Alright, so we hopefully will see you all again Wednesday. And until then, this has been Ace.
Asmogan.
And we hope to see